Barbara is. Let's take a roll call. Bob? No. Will? No. Ann? Here. Barbara? Janet? Here. Carol? Here. Joyce?
Here.
Eleanor?
Here.
Carol? I'm here. Don? You're here. Julie?
Here.
Okay. So we only have Bob and Lil that are absent. And Lisa is also here.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I'll check you off, Lisa. Let's see. Approval of the minutes from November, no, October.
October?
Yeah.
Is this an extra copy? Or you get?
Any changes?
You want an extra copy to see the minutes?
No changes? Anybody want to look through? Oh, yes.
Does anybody have an extra copy? Now that's from last month.
Oh.
That's all right.
We need an extra copy. Well, we're not.
I brought 2 extra. I gave Joyce a full set as well, and Lil circulated them about 2 weeks ago electronically. Yeah.
We were out of
The minutes.
Yeah, well, they're on my phone. They're not on my phone.
Okay.
It was an email.
Oh, thank you. You're welcome.
Thank you, Julie.
Except that you without one now.
She already read them.
And I have them at the paper.
So are there any, has everyone looked at the minutes? Are there any changes to the minutes?
I move to accept the minutes of the meeting from October.
I second it.
All in favor? Aye. Okay. So now we'll have a report from the director.
Okay, so this is the report for October. It's the 4th month in the fiscal year, so that's a third of the way through. So roughly we should be looking at budget items to see if we are running roughly a third into using those budgets. If we're under or over, what are those reasons? So the top line under wages is clerk, which we haven't filled, so you can see we still have that full budget there. Under transportation and half of our activity coordinators' wages, we are at 87% remaining, which is good. So 75% would say, excuse me, 66% would say that we are on pace with this wage category. The fact that we have 87% remaining is an indication that our shuttle service is still building. We're not using all of our shuttle driver wages because we don't have as much demand. It is growing, but it's not to where it had been anticipated to be. And this budget for transportation and half of the activity coordinator wages was set February of 2021 as an anticipation for the next fiscal year cycle. Then we were still in the throes of COVID lockdown. The center was largely shut and we had very few rides, if any. So it's coming back, but it's coming back slowly. A portion of that usage there for half of the activity coordinator wages is on pace, clearly, but the driver's wages are still not being used enough that it's not near 66. But Rachel, who's half activity and half nutrition, her half activity hat is fully being used, okay? The senior lunch program, which would be the other half of Rachel's job, is at 80% remaining, so we've consumed 20%. Okay. Outreach, we're just about on track at 65% remaining. And that's good, because we're in the middle of shine season, right, open enrollment, and that's going to end on December the 7th. After that, I think Diane Morgan and her schedule will get to have a breather. And then, so I might expect between now and December the 7th, her wages to bill a little heavily. She has to do whatever she must to get the appointments in. And then, as we coast to the end of June, when we're well out of shine season, it'll probably get lighter. But it's my job to make sure we don't run out of funds to pay her. And that Title III grant that we get through West Mass Elder Care is for outreach wages. So we'll be fine, but we're on track with that category. Okay? We move out of wages and just look at general town account. Office supplies, we've got 80% of our budget remaining. Postage, we haven't, in October, we haven't touched it. That's really for our permit, our bulk permit.
I was going to say, what about the mail?
That comes out of the bulk permit. And so we have already had a fair amount of money in the bulk permit account from the prior fiscal year. So we were chewing off of it. We've just refreshed that permit account. We'll see that in our next meeting for the November financials. But part of our permit account expense we take out of this town budget, but also we get help from it down below under formula grant. So we allocate between the two, because we know we get something from the state, so we want to make sure we use that first, and then we go into the town budget, okay? Repair and maintenance of motor vehicles, we're actually got more money than we started because we make money off of the shuttle fares, and we haven't had a lot of both repair and maintenance. All we've done is a couple of vehicle inspections, and we just changed the white van's snow tires and rotated them, okay? So we don't have a lot going on there, okay? And because we've been parking them up at the safety complex, we haven't had to replace the Kevlar burners. But that's eventually going to end because it's a little inconvenient. And once the snow starts flying, they're going to have to move the van to plow behind the safety complex. And I think I'm hearing from Dawn and from Richie, ultimately it's more convenient if the van is here. So we just, lately I've heard nothing through the Council on Aging news line. So maybe it's subsiding, the bad behavior, and we can bring them back here and just see how it goes.
Maybe after all these arrests that just happened with all the stealing of the converters, maybe that's why it'll quiet down for a while.
I didn't know they arrested them.
Oh,
Yeah.
Good thing.
Oh, good. They found the culprits?
Two. Well, they found two.
Two. Okay.
Well, that's
It's the
too bad.
beginning.
And they
I
couldn't
say
link.
a word, I'm minding my own business here. I'm outnumbered.
So, were they implicated with the
Stealing
thefts
the cattle.
around the region?
It didn't say
Say-
what town.
Got it.
They
Okay.
just
Oh,
said
good.
they arrested them for
Okay, well, that's
stealing
good to know.
cattle at
Just
a
take a
converter.
high school message yesterday.
Miles, meals, meetings,
Yeah.
types of dues and subscriptions. We have used 3/4 of it. There's only 24% left, but we probably won't touch any more of that. We have to, it's when our renewals come up for the
Okay.
Massachusetts Council on Aging. We had this license subscription for this thing from the Motion Pictures License Corporation. They all come due at once, sort of right at the beginning of the fiscal year, so that's why that's down, but it wasn't a big budget to begin with. And then printing, we've only touched 2% of that budget, so there's 98% left there, okay?
So what happens? Do you roll it over if you have?
No.
Where
So-
does it go?
So,
Back into the general
goes
fund.
back to the general fund. So, it is a balancing act to make sure, the state doesn't give us the generous, so we want to make sure we don't send a signal that we don't need it. But I
Oh,
want to
yeah.
balance that in the future, whoever runs the senior center will be able to make a case that our budget should not be shrunk. If anything, it should stay constant in real terms for inflation. And if anything, it may need to grow if we show a valid cause, okay? So, but last year, we returned a lot. At the end of the
Yeah,
fiscal year, a
that's
lot
what-
went back to the general fund. And it's in part because the center was shuttered. Now, that doesn't
Yes,
mean other
right.
departments in the town, while affected by COVID,
Didn't need it.
didn't use it. Okay.
Yes.
They try to use it before.
Mm.
And so every institution operates differently, whether they're staff heavy, and they're heavier than they need or not. How do things like overtime in certain institutions get monitored? So be that as it may, we are small staff here, we were largely shuttered. We had position unfilled quite a bit with Rachel's position as Chloe went out sick. We got somebody new. There was a pause in finding a replacement for that person because the fit wasn't good. Okay? So yeah, it's something to keep my eye on.
Yes.
Okay, donation accounts. Haven't touched the building fund, nor do we get like donations for the building fund. We tend to get donations for the senior fuel fund. So in October, we received some donations for $100 in the senior fuel fund. We also made an outlay of $287 to one household that said they weren't going to make it to November 1, when, if their fuel assistance was approved, they could get reimbursed. But it's our discretion here, and don't worry, I'm very hawkish, and I ask people what they need, and it's typically once for the heating season. They have got to figure out a way to provide, whether it's through fuel assistance or other resource programs available through utilities, or learning some savings discipline.
I'll be honest with you, fuel assistance, I have it. I put in, and they do not tell you. It is way into November.
Oh
and
gosh, it could be January.
That's right. But my oil company is very good. They just keep coming, and there's no question. They'll rock a bill.
That's right. They'll put it on the account.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's way, it's a long time. So maybe somebody would need that.
Yes, and that's
time.
yeah. And
yeah, I would never. I mean, I want you to watch, but I mean, it can happen.
Yeah, I know that. I know it can happen. Okay. The non-senior fuel fund, no donations in, no requests out, so that's at 100%. But we'll see, we're only in the middle of November. General gift fund, we took in $116. We laid out $397.74. And from this fund is where I do things like I paid for the accordion player at the Oktoberfest. We pay the stipend for the chair yoga instructor who comes twice a month.
Yeah.
And supplies for those special events. And that's where it can come from.
Yeah.
Okay. The newsletter fund, we just had a tiny donation in, no expenses out, so we have a little bit more than we started. We're running at 105% of that category. The senior lunch fund, we don't tend to get donations in for it. You're going to see a recurring $6.98. That's for 2 cases of bottled water for the lunch program.
They love that bottled water.
But we're in good shape there, and that's a good thing because we're going to be buying water for a while, as I'll update you in a little bit. The food pantry fund, we took in $300 of donations, and we only had a $15 outlay there. But next month you'll see, when we have our next meeting, you'll see for November, I am starting monthly to go and buy meat for our freezer. The mobile food van was here yesterday for the 2nd time, and this time they brought frozen meats, and they flew out, okay? And they didn't announce that because they know.
Yeah, you'd have.
Yeah, we had a real long line yesterday with new faces, so everyone knows that the cost of groceries is going up. Not necessarily. No, and it's not a restriction.
No,
so
I know
it doesn't have to be a resident. You don't have to be a senior. It can be anyone, and it's on. You could have, and if it's on a trust basis, that if you feel you have need, you can come.
Right.
And because they're everywhere. They're in Chicopee, they're in South Hadley. They're here now and very happy to. They even spoke about coming twice a month. I'm not sure I can do that as well. It's in the newsletter now.
That's what I'm wondering.
It's in our newsletter.
Yeah.
Don't put it up on the website. But we can talk about that.
Yeah.
But I think I'm going to wait to go twice a month till January. We're just gassed. We'll do December's scheduled for the 21st. It's going to be chilly. I don't know how that'll work. They'll come with the van. Maybe they'll pull close to the store, and people need to come in here to stay warm. You know, we don't know what the weather would be like. It was pretty brisk yesterday, but the sun was out.
There may be people in dire need.
Yeah.
Lisa, When someone sends in a donation
Yeah,
and they don't specify where they want it,
Yeah.
do you just put it?
I decide where we need it, where I'm seeing, you
Yeah.
know, like, the general gift fund is so healthy, I wouldn't put it there. And
Right.
we get money into general gift fund for like when a loved one passes away, okay? So I want to be somewhat thoughtful about what we could use it for. And if I think like, you know, could someone say, why did you spend it on an accordion player for Oktoberfest? We're trying to bring people back and make for a nice time. It was under the tents, it was outside, it was safe. So, but, you know, I don't take from there if it's for the food pantry freezer. I have a fund. So, okay. The Thanksgiving Basket Fund, which is upon us for tomorrow, brought it. We had a couple of donations. One was very generous of $1,125. We had no outlays in October for it, but I can tell you I've done a lot of shopping in November to finish up.
Well, that
People have
makes
been great
sense.
with their canned good donations and dried groceries, but it, when we do our inventory, there's things we have to fill in.
So would you have enough for tomorrow for your 70
Yep.
baskets?
So
Is
yes.
that what
Good, yeah, you gotta have enough people to
I'm
run.
gonna be here.
Yeah, I've got plenty of volunteers.
Come.
Yes.
You too?
What's that?
You'll be here
I'll
tomorrow?
be here.
She already gave us the insulated bags, and we thank you for that. We got a picnic. That's how she survived with them. So yes, 47 go to seniors, and about 23 are going up to Granby to go for school families that have need. And we are not delivering those. Granby to go will come at the end and pick them up, and we're just going to take care of delivery to our senior network. And because Granby to go can decide whether they're going to have people come to the school and time it with using the clothing closet up there, or whether they are going to actually deliver to addresses.
Where did you finally get turkeys? Did you?
Chief of Turkeys!
I'm a turkey, yeah.
Chief of Turkeys, Don Zabrowski.
90 meat outlet.
90 meat. Okay.
So, we
They have
locked,
some good, they have some good prices down there.
we locked
They all know me, so they take better care of me, so.
Okay. Did you get breast or did you get turkey?
we got both.
Both?
We got
We got
about,
what she ordered.
we got about 1/3 is frozen boneless turkey breast and 2/3 were whole birds. But in addition to that, the United Church of Christ very generously solicits donations, because they used to do this whole program years and years ago. So not only have they kindly made us 70 frozen apple crisps to send in each bag, but they also brought in the donations of 15 whole birds. So we adjusted our order down. And we locked in with 99 Meat Outlet because their price was really fair at the time. They were willing to sell us the quantity we need, and they were willing to hold it in their freezers. And we couldn't get those terms. Many stores nationwide couldn't do their bulk program. Price Right wasn't announcing till November 1, and then, as it turns out, it wasn't very favorable. And you can look in the flyers and now see sales for 49 cents a pound. But no, it says, you know, you must buy this amount and limit to. And we can't store, so we have to make certain decisions. But we did really well because when we considered 2 other meat vendors, they were quoting me before he went to 99 Meat Outlet. They were quoting me $3.28 a pound for breast, turkey breast, and $2.28 a pound for bird. That was high.
So that was 90 meat?
No,
Oh.
The other
that was
Was it in
restaurant
Arnold's?
in Arnold's.
Was it
They were
okay?
high.
Arnold's and restaurant people.
They were high.
Arnold's is high.
Okay. And then last, under formula grant, that paperwork has been 3 months late from the state, unfortunately, but it is coming. So we have tapped it a little bit, where half of the activity coordinator's wages come out of that first row. We go against the formula grant for half of her activity wages, which is basically one quarter of her whole paycheck, because she wears 2 hats, right? So that's activity coordinator, half of her activity wages come out. So we've got 75% left in that budget for her, and that's on track, well on track. Nothing, conference and training. This was that. Yeah, this comes out of, this is where the Mass Council on Aging renewal fee comes. It doesn't come out of the one above it under town accounts, miles, meals, meetings, and dues. Postage, we haven't touched theirs yet, but you'll see in November, when we do the November in January's meeting, we just refreshed our permit account because we were down to $32. So to cover this week's, next week's newsletter stuffing, which I'll talk to you about, we had to get more money on the permit account, okay? And newsletter printing, we're at 91% remaining, in office supplies 90%. So we're in good shape, okay? And then the metrics, just in terms of what we're doing here day to day for the month of October. Rent to people who are homebound was 30, is down from the month before by 7. A lot of that has to do with what we're offering, what we get on the donation day from Stop and Shop in Belchertown, and what people want. The food pantry, we had, for seniors, 6 clients came in, they took 7 bags. That was down from the month before by 4 seniors and 15 bags. And that's a function of either what we have on the shelves or what they feel they need. For the pantry under 65 group, we had 3 clients, 5 bags, which was 1 client less than the month before, 3 bags less. Brown bag in October, 24 went out the door. That was 2 higher than in September. I can tell you right now, if you look beyond the divider, we did brown bag yesterday, there's 9 sitting there. So some people haven't come out yet. We deliver some. We thought more would come and claim because the mobile van is timed with that day, but we'll push that. We'll get on the horn again today or tomorrow to say, hey, your brown bag's here. Yeah. And there's some perishables with them, so they're refrigerated, right? There's butter, there's chunk cheddar cheese, and there's shredded mozzarella cheese. So
that sounds good for the brown bag.
Yeah, that was a treat. Grocery delivery, typically from our pantry and freezer, but people who are shut in, we served 3 clients, which was 1 more than in September. Transportation, we had 10 medical rides. There was no change from September. That was the same. Miscellaneous, it was 23 rides, bank, hairdresser, grocery store. That's 4 higher than September. In terms of support services, outreach and shine appointments was 30. Clients were served. That was 1 less than in September. Medical equipment, we served 9 people with 16 pieces of equipment going out. It was a gain of 2 clients and 9 pieces of equipment. It's very interesting to see how surgical calendars pulse and surge, but I think a lot has to do with things that got delayed during COVID. Wellness calls, 149. That was 26 more than the month before. And phone calls to notify people.
149?
Yeah. Wow. Well, technically, we're supposed to be calling 3 times a week, 4 weeks in a month. Well, we're swamped, so we're going to start talking about getting some volunteer help on the phones. So we need to do the wellness calls, but the calls that say the mobile food van will be here, here's what they have, would you like us, you're shut in, would you like us to get you things? That can go to a volunteer until I can make a case with a job description that I'd like to use these wages here for even about 15 hours a week. I've started that discussion. I haven't gotten very far with it, but in the meantime, we need help, and I know we've got able-bodied people who want to be volunteers and helping. Even twice a week could really help. Right now, my concern would be spacing. Until the shine appointments are done, that desk in there is Diane Morgan's sort of confidential space, even though there's no door. Her office is too tiny to be sitting with people, and she often has to deal with a lot of paperwork, and she literally has no room. So sometimes I give up my office, but depending on the client, I could not be in my office for 3 hours, depending on how much paperwork and how much talking they do. So I said, this isn't working. So she uses the space where a clerk would often sit.
Oh,
Yeah, I saw it yesterday.
But once December 7th is passed, then I'll put a body in it 2 or 3 days a week to help.
yeah.
Okay. So that's it for the senior center. The last thing I would say is, I was asked by Rachel to make a plea. We need lunch volunteers for Mondays and Fridays going forward, because
I do
the
Mondays. That's my helpers.
Eatons will be out of commission for a while, out of state. So if you know anyone who wants to help, please let us, send them our way. And next,
What is the time frame? I'm sorry.
well,
You get here around 11.
11?
Lunch shows up.
Like 11 to 1, right?
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah,
couple of hours.
sometimes the
At
lunch
most.
used to come early. And
well, we'll see what the new caterer does,
The new
because I
caterer
think we
will
should be
come
able.
on time, right?
Yeah, and I think we should be able to say we would like the food here by 11:45 and lunch will be at noon, right? That's
Yeah,
one
yeah.
normal.
80 and 2/3 old.
So what?
But that would be good.
2/3
We could use
means
some
6
help.
months or 8 months.
It's not a hard
4
job.
more months
It's
to
an
go.
easy job. Just gotta
What kind of a
smile.
job is it? Tell me.
It's not,
I
it's
think
easy,
you
you just
should be-
smile, the people coming
See,
in,
you
you
could-
I
smile.
could
and
stand there and watch, is that
You've
okay?
done it before when they had the big
Right.
dinners and that, you've helped.
Walmart
you know.
greeter.
That's all right, but it would be nice, yeah.
If you could just find people who are curious, they could talk to someone like Joyce or Janet, and they can explain, or Rachel.
Are we
what's
back to
entailed.
paper plates, or was it still?
No, I think
Oh,
we're
I
gonna
didn't know you
stay.
were there.
Stay with the paper?
No, we're gonna,
Stay with the,
Stay
okay.
with the plate.
yeah.
Well,
People
it's
wanted
one
it.
Who's
step
gonna wash
forward.
dishes? Not
But we
me.
have a dishwasher,
We have a
dishwasher.
a brand new one.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, right.
So when are you looking for this?
Somewhere in December would be helpful. No, our lunch program has stopped after Monday's debacle. Friday was supposed to be the last one, but we just said no more. So it doesn't resume until December the 6th.
December the 6th.
And if we don't have extra bodies for that Monday, we'll jump in and work with Joyce
She helps.
and get it
That's what
done.
she does. She helps.
But soon after that would be appreciated.
And the best thing too for a man is I cannot
Well,
do
as long as
dishwasher.
you're, no.
I can't live with those, I can't do those dishwashers, so if
Okay.
you find a heavy guy, I'll take them.
The
I
other-
can't, I gotta walk with my cane.
Oh, yeah, listen, I know it's not easy, listen, I can't do
Do
it.
you need help with the Thanksgiving lunch on Monday?
Oh,
The
we
people
didn't
who
get
are,
there yet.
those who are on that list, because it was limited seating and there were terms from West Mass Elder Care about who comes in, COA staff will be serving it to you folks, those coming. We're going to do the serving, okay? So volunteers get a day off.
Respond to that.
Well, actually, it was reserved, it's reserved for people who suffer through the lunch program and the lunch from volunteers. It wasn't mine, it was West Mass Elder Care. Their thank you for staying the course until they figured out a solution.
I think too, the people who were here for the thing when she did the lessons, you know, the teaching of the, she
Could be.
recognized me when I came over. So I remember you in classes when you were here.
Oh, Katie Defoe? Yeah. The other thing is, next week, we're going to be stuffing the December newsletter. We're getting it out before Thanksgiving so that it makes it to people right at December 1, if not right before, because we have a lot of early announcements in it. And it just wasn't going to work. We're closed the Friday after Thanksgiving, so we lose that day. So we're planning on stuffing
Yeah.
either Tuesday or Wednesday. And I say, it's Wednesday it must, because that's the day I've committed it to the postal system, and I got it into the publisher early, so I might have it by Monday. So I'd like to ask people if they're interested, if they're flexible, to come either Tuesday at the normal time, okay? This is like 9:30?
Next Tuesday?
Next Tuesday.
9:30 at night, remember?
What?
9:30 at night.
No.
Now we can go to sleep early.
No.
And Wednesday, if it has to be Wednesday, it has to happen right after the chair yoga class lets out at 11 a.m. But we can get it done and get it to Springfield by 4:30.
Tuesday.
So Tuesday the 30th?
No,
No, the 23rd.
23rd.
I
So,
can do that, and I can do lunch
Oh, I already got that down.
Mondays.
you think you can volunteer?
Yes.
Okay.
What's the date of the launch?
Well, starting December the 6th.
Yeah, December 6th.
Okay. So as soon as we find out appointments, then we can.
So that's it for me, other than I do have a little old business to update you on, and one just update on new business. So the old business is the water situation. And last Friday, I made a note to speak with our head of maintenance in the town, Jeremy, and said, I got a board meeting next week, and it's always of interest and high concern of where we are with fixing the water problem, at least at this building. And he says, good timing, the end of day today, this was Friday, Le Frambois, which is, I think it's raspberry in French. They came late and shut the water off to the building to let the well settle, and then on Saturday they were supposed to come and camera the well and also inspect the check valve, which is like a foot valve that plays the well, to see the integrity and whether the contamination could be fixed by a physical fix of the well or replacing the valve. Well, by Saturday we had so much rain start, the well wasn't settled, and by Monday morning here we had some very interesting conditions where we called the instructor for Healthy Bones and Balance and said, we don't have any functioning bathrooms because we don't have water on yet because they haven't come and checked the well and the foot valve. Do you want to cancel? And we did a little assessment of how many people in the class typically leave class during the hour to use the facilities. And I said, just make an announcement, and if they don't want to stay and take that risk. Well, it turns out the class started and the water came back on. Okay, so the class wasn't disrupted, but so the well has been inspected. I don't know the result of that, but what I was told the next steps were, it gets written up, it gets submitted to the state, because the state has to have say in what they feel the proper remedy of the situation is. And this is DEP.
Yeah.
So we're nowhere near 5 weeks of clean testing because we don't have an understanding for why the water quality is off. Okay, so it's going to be some time. So we just keep buying water.
I hate to say it, but don't you think we should have done this a lot sooner, sent it to the state? I mean, this problem's been going on for months.
Well, it's been going on since early June, and there was a change starting October 1 because maybe contractually the prior contractor that was in charge was probably under contract, and finally the town made a decision to find a new contractor. So that, you lose time there. And then if you have to maybe work between town and other jurisdictions, state or federal, you lose time with things moving and sitting on desks, and you know, depends how big the pile is on somebody else's desk. So we deal with it. It's not great, but we deal with it.
Oh, they're moving forward.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, and then new business. I have a deadline at the end of November, just to do, like every department in the town does, to submit a capital budgeting for the next fiscal year. It's basically doing some sort of inventory of assets here that are worth over $10,000. So I would imagine that's the blue van. I don't know about the white van. Okay, and then there might be a little more work for me if I want to start to make a case to try and position the idea that we get a new handicap wheelchair van. Okay, that doesn't mean we would be successful, but we get started. So I'm going to try and do both those things before the end of November. And then by the end of December, I need to put an operating budget in for the center. And there'll be nothing heroic. We've told what the cost of living increase would be allowed. It's 2%, as it's been in the past few years. But whether there are any budget categories I could shave and others I'd state the case should be increased, okay? So those are my sort of official things to do on a deadline before the end of, before the end of the year.
Can I ask you?
Okay, you're probably going to ask the same question.
Maybe not. In reference to the van, handicap van, the military a lot of times donates. They maybe use, but
Okay.
I wouldn't think they have.
Okay. We can look at
it. But,
yeah.
I mean, hey, it doesn't hurt.
Yeah,
Fire
no,
department, they'll steer in the right direction when to get it. In the meantime, you
I mean, right, we don't necessarily need to go out and shop and make a case for a new piece of equipment,
no.
something that's in good shape and could be a good value, sure.
Yeah.
I just don't know, I keep talking to Richie Gay and to Dawn, Dawn has to sometimes use that van, and Richie uses it more often because he can handle the loading. It's a little bit outdated, and it's a little awkward in its mechanisms, but it's usable, and we have taken it out for most of the cases where there's a wheelchair involved. Some calls we get, it's going to be too difficult due to the size and the positioning of the client in the wheelchair, and whether they have to stay reclined or can be prone. So, so we'll look into it.
Do you connect with other senior centers? Like Ludlow just had a big thing in the paper about a new one, not brand new, but newer van.
I can speak
Do
to
you
her.
know who?
I know who to speak to. Yeah, every 2 weeks I'm in a call.
All right. But
Friday
sometimes
afternoon.
they can give you insight,
Yeah.
you know,
Through MCOA, we get that kind of grapevine network to
Yeah.
put out messages and get
which I think
ideas.
is great
Yeah.
because it does help. I'm sorry, Barbara. Okay.
No.
Your turn. Oh,
Question.
Yeah.
Are you getting through in December?
Oh, no. Well, no, I haven't said that to anyone. I know I haven't. No, I know I said,
Okay.
in the past I'd said I'd help through the end of the year, but
But that's.
I'm not cutting and running. Don't worry
Okay.
about that. Okay,
All
but I have to have
We're
that
gonna
discussion.
beat her up outside the back
You're gonna
door.
rough me up? Okay. No. It's not my interest to have this place just left at the perch of getting up and running. I want it to be a smooth transition. I mean, I still have some things on my slate. If I could get some good volunteer help, I need to get away for about 2 or 3 weeks. I have to get to Georgia to see my aging parents, and having just lost a family member, this has been a real hard time on me. And I have to drive it because they're unvaccinated and they don't want me flying. And so it's a road trip, and I don't want to go just for 5 days and turn around and drive it back. So I need some time, and that's got to happen sooner rather than later. But I'd like to get through most of December because we have activities planned, and then so anyway.
So are they looking for somebody new, or is?
Did you talk to Chris?
Not recently. We've both been so busy. The last I'd spoken to him was that so no, let's just leave it at that. I haven't spoken to him. Let's leave it at that. The next board meeting is January the 19th, 2022 at 9:30 a.m. here. So let us know if you can help either Tuesday or Wednesday next week. And as soon as I know, as soon as that UPS truck pulls up and drops me a box of newsletter, if it's Friday, I'll get the word out.
Yeah.
If it's Monday, I'll get the word out saying, can you come Tuesday?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you around next week?
That's my book.
Yeah.
Well, I am here. I do have next Tuesday down for the newsletter.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah, I'll be here.
I'll be here.
I'm thinking it should be here in time for Tuesday.
we don't have the medical appointment,
Not yet.
Not yet.
No, I have.
Can you make it Tuesday?
My
Yeah, I'm gonna be here.
Okay.
Okay.
And I went in for a test and now they're
9:30?
Okay.
scheduling the surgery.
They haven't booked you yet.
Carol, is it 9:30?
That takes priority over
9:30.
anything.
Mm-hmm.
on Tuesday and 11 o'clock if it turns out Wednesday, but she's
Right.
going to
I'll let
send
you
a
know.
message out.
Okay.
That's right.
I have a doctor's appointment Wednesday, but it's early,
Do this turkey
like 8
picnic
o'clock in the
tomorrow?
morning.
Okay.
I'll be out of there by 9:30.
Okay. You just
Anybody
drive.
else? Carol, do you?
Maybe I'll get,
We're gonna
maybe I'll
newsletter?
get Steve
I'll be
up
here
here
next
so he
Tuesday.
he's strong. He and I.
Well, if
Maybe
she
I
doesn't
have a
change it.
hernia.
Yeah, we
Her
want
too?
you.
Yeah.
We always want you.
So you're talking about the 24th
Mine
also?
is just a
Yep.
Yeah, one or the other,
It hurts like heck,
Okay.
but yeah, you gotta live.
right? Right, right? So we'll have to wait and hear from her.
And that would be for December.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I
The
will.
reason I say that is from the chairman of the capital improvement committee, so it would get approved anyway, you have to worry.
It wouldn't, you said? It wouldn't?
Would be the guy, maybe,
Oh, excuse me. Okay. Bless you.
The senior Christmas lunch is the 7th,
The 15th, that's the select board luncheon.
the,
They're giving it,
Yes,
the select board, it's curbside pickup, it's the 15th.
15th.
It's all going to be in the newsletter, December.
Is it sold out?
No,
It
It
isn't?
isn't?
I'm going, I mean, I'm gonna
Wow. I haven't heard of it.
no, we're taking
Names?
registered names.
There you go. She's
But
taking
we're
names.
taking names, and we've also been asked to first secure the number of homebound people coming to deliver first.
Yes.
There is an upper limit, I'm not going to say what that is, and then, but we're far from it right now, okay? Part of it is that even though we pre-announced it in the November newsletter, it's so far off. I mean, we're getting people so confused between,
Yes.
you know, you're gonna get this and get that, and come for the mobile van. I've never been so time confused in my whole life.
And
Having to
you're
live
young.
relative, let's
You're
put it
young.
relative, to
Yeah.
having to plan ahead, everything, there's small windows where you get to rest, you know? But, you know, this type of operation with, I'd say, the minimal staff requires just staying very organized. And sometimes sleeping with a half of an eye open.
Yeah.
That's it for me.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Yeah, that was quick.
All in
I
favor?
second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all.
Aye.
Thank you.